Hello and welcome to another episode from the channel Womenary.ae by Dr. Usha Kiran. We will talk about a very important topic today, which a lot of ladies want to hear, want to talk about it, and specifically when you are suffering from a situation or such condition, such medical condition, I should say. We'll be talking about menopause today, what it is, what are the details about it. I have here with me Dr. Usha Kiran, who's going to talk to us about the same. So, Doctor, hi, welcome. How are you?
Thank you very much, Fahad. I'm fine.
Doctor, talking about menopause, I'll ask you I'll start from the very basic question. What is actually menopause? And more importantly, doctor, how does it affect a woman's body?
Yeah. It's a very relevant question that you have asked, although it sounds very simple. Because many of the women and a large majority of the men are kind of ignorant about the fact that there is something called menopause which exists. Okay. Menopause, meno is the menses, which is the periods, pause is stopping. So in literal sense, the stopping of your periods is kind of indicative of menopause. But in actual, scientifically or what actually happens is that your ovaries stop functioning, they stop producing the hormone estrogen, and which actually stimulates the uterus to get a period. So basically, the uterus stops having a period. Because why I'm trying to kind of split this like this is that sometimes women can end up having a uterus removal prior to the menopause, like in their 40s, and they stop having periods because we have removed the uterus. But they have not actually undergone menopause. Because their ovaries are still functioning and the hormone is still going on. They will eventually reach menopause, and at that time, they probably will not realize when they reached menopause because the periods had already stopped. Correct. So period stopping, although is a very simplistic way of saying menopause, it's not the period stopping that affects, that happens in the body. It's actually the ovary stopping functioning.
All right. That's very important. People would want to know what is menopause, because a lot of ladies, I believe, who have not even reached to that level, to say that age where it is frequently happening, they would also want to know if something is there on to them also. So thank you very much, doctor, for this information. Doctor, what are the symptoms of menopause? How a person would understand, a female would know menopause? Okay.
So normally the age of menopause is around 48 to 52. So in somebody, it might happen earlier. If it happens before the age of 35, we call it a premature menopause, where it shouldn't have happened at all for whatever reason. But anywhere after 40, sometimes people can have a little early menopause, which is in the 40 to 45, or after 45, before 50. But on average, most of the women undergo menopause around the age of 48 to 52. Okay. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it can get delayed up till 55. Beyond 55, we look at it as abnormal if they continue to have periods. That's another entirely a different topic to talk about. So how does a woman know that she is having menopause? Menopause, although happens at around 48 to 52, it doesn't happen in one day. It's the gradual decline of the ovarian function and the estrogen hormone secreted by the ovaries, which are going down. So this starts happening at the age of 40. So it's in a way, a good way, that the body is trying to do this gently, letting down the person so that they don't experience the side effects so severely. So for example, if we take away the ovaries of somebody today at the age of 40 or 45 and the ovaries are still functioning, they will have menopause tomorrow morning, which is like going to be really drastic, because it's almost like withdrawing something which was at full-fledged thing.
All right.
But the body nature does it in a very gentle way. From 40, it starts reducing and reducing till it becomes kind of zero when you reach menopause. So the symptoms for menopause don't start on one day. They are there in the background, happening gradually from the 40 onwards. And some of them are, all the women experience. Some of them experience it a bit harsher way, more intensely, and find it difficult. Some of them experience it in such a mild way that they don't even realize that they're going through menopause. Okay. So one of the common things that people experience is hot flushes. So especially happening during the night. So they wake up in the night feeling a really hot flush going up in the upper part of the body. They feel like there's a heat wave coming up. Okay. After which they start profusely sweating, which disturbs the sleep to a large extent. So that can happen. And then a gradual decline of, this is a very simple thing that most women say, Doctor, I am no more like the person I was. That is the exact description of menopause.
This is wonderful. I mean, like, now this what you said, the statement. It is, these women say that who are above 48 or above.
When they're reaching menopause, they're reaching that point, they're like trying to tell everybody around them ki theek nahi lag raha, but they're not able to pinpoint exactly kya theek nahi hai.
Correct.
And when they come to me and I kind of understand they're going through menopause because I'm the medical person, plus I have been through menopause myself and I've experienced most of the symptoms.
Right.
And the moment I kind of give them that opportunity to try and talk about it, which probably rest of the people around them are trying to say, it's okay, kuch nahi ho raha hai, kya ho raha hai, kuch nahi ho raha hai type. So when I start giving them that opportunity to come up with, and this is the sentence that gets told by most of the women. So although this sounds like pehle jaisa nahi raha, I'm not the same person anymore, sounds like a very simple statement, but it is a profound statement for a person who has been through it. It's almost like the world doesn't realize, but it's something inside you which is making you feel like you want to get in touch with that person who was there before. The enthusiastic person, the multitasking person, the person with a stable mood. So many things. It's almost like that whole personality has changed into this whining, irritable, depressed kind of person who has no enthusiasm left. That's another thing that people say. Doctor, पहले जैसे ना कोई भी चीज़ करने को मन नहीं लगता. I don't feel like doing things. That's such a vague symptom. So these are the symptoms of menopause, and many women kind of think that there's something mentally wrong with them. Like कि शायद मैं खुद ही ठीक नहीं हूँ कि कुछ भी imagine कर रही हूँ. I'm probably psychologically I'm affected and all that. And people around them start telling them, अरे कुछ भी नहीं है सब. अच्छा खासा खाना पीना तो खा रही है, everything else you're doing, so what's wrong with you? This what's wrong with me, I don't know. Many times leaves women feeling very weak in themselves and feeling like, something is, they're at fault. This is the feeling like कि मैं ही कुछ गलत हूँ, कि गलत बोल रही हूँ. So what I want to say is that menopause is a real situation that's happening to your body and mind. So what I want to say is that menopause is a real condition that's happening to your body and your mind. So don't go around thinking that it's your fault that you're feeling like this and you should be feeling much better. No, what you're feeling is actually the reality.
Thank you very much, Doctor, for this answer. Doctor, symptoms, you've explained it very well. आपने in fact emotional part को भी जो एक इंसान feel करता है उसको भी आपने mention किया. Now in symptoms को manage करने के लिए for a well-being, what would be the process, or how a woman should deal with this?
Okay, when people are going through the decline of the estrogen hormones, there isn't a lot that can be done in terms of medication or from a medical point of view. We can only, first thing is, the most important thing is, if a woman consults a gynec or any doctor for that matter, and they tell her, okay, fine, what you're going through is real. So it's not like you're imagining things, so it's happening to you, we understand that. That, I think, gives a lot of strength to the woman that she's not going mad.
All right.
Okay. And this is also another thing that's saying कि मुझे खुद को लग रहा है कि मैं पागल होए जा रही हूँ. घर पे सब समझते मैं पागल हो रही हूँ. Okay. And I can see the husband sitting next to her and nodding his head. And that's very true. Because what happens is that your emotional status becomes so fragile that you're reacting to many things in a very disproportionate way. Like, आपको भी पता रहता है इस चीज़ पे मुझे गुस्सा आना नहीं चाहिए, इस चीज़ पे मुझे irritable होना नहीं चाहिए, but आपकी बस के बाहर होती हैं. आप छोटे मोटे चीज़ों पे you're losing your temper, you're becoming irritable, and similarly छोटे मोटे बातों पे आपको बहुत ज़्यादा बुरा लग जाता है जो normally लगना नहीं चाहिए. So these are the kind of things that happen. So you start feeling like, अरे इतने छोटी चीज़ पे मैं क्यों react कर रही हूँ, ये सब चीज़ें. So first of all, if somebody actually confirms, yes, you are going through a decline in the estrogen hormones, so this is what you're going to experience, which is normal. So let's go find a way how to deal with it. I think that's the first step to managing menopause or handling menopause, which does not happen in majority of the women. They are left in the dark thinking that, there's something that they're imagining. Okay. So once you know that this is something that the body is doing to you, and you need to deal with it, you come up with various things. For example, if you are getting these hot flushes, which is disturbing your sleep and it's making you feel like really, in the night very disturbed, obviously you need to set your AC higher. You need to keep your windows open depending upon which kind of country that you're living in. Now, for example, I used to get hot flushes when I was in the UK. And UK is a very cold place, and the windows used to be closed and heating on. Because you need to keep the house heated. So I used to start in the middle of the night, wake up profusely sweating, and then I would want to switch the heating off, and I want to open the windows. Now, the common problem most of the women face is they are with the partner, and the partner is like, "Pagal ho gaye kya? Itna thandi mein window open kar rahe ho, heating band kar rahe ho." That kind of thing. Or AC ka agar aapne zyada kar li, temperature kam kar li, so the other person is like saying, so it might come to a point where you might actually want to sleep in a different bedroom with the temperature settings which is more suitable for you.
Yeah.
Because the hot flushes won't last that long. They will last anywhere from 2 to 5 years. When the body is getting used to after menopause. So during that time, instead of thinking this is going to happen today and it's going to stop tomorrow, it's going to be a long-term process. So maybe you kind of make your own plans of a different room with a better air conditioning, the temperature being low, using different kind of blankets which keep you a little on the colder side. At the same time, using loose clothing, absorbable clothing. These are the hot sweats will come. The hot flushes and sweats will come. But you might be able to manage it a bit better if you do that.
Yeah.
There are medications for women who are like finding it so difficult, or if it's going on for more than 2 years and they're finding it, doctor, this is like really making me very cranky because I don't get sleep. Those women, even after 6 months, can start medications which can be given, which will bring the hot flushes down. So that's one aspect of it. And then comes the mentally how you're feeling, because now you don't have the same enthusiasm. You feel a little sad and down. You react to things in an irritable way. So all these feelings that you're having on a mental level, what you're feeling. Now, there isn't a lot of medications or anything that you can go on. I mean, if you really are bothered and if it's really upsetting you, people come to doctors, and then after some time the doctors might say, okay, go on antidepressant. But honestly, to me, that's not an answer, because you're not depressed. You're just going through a hormonal situation which is making you feel like this, and it might go on for a long time. So you don't want to be on antidepressants for this.
Doctor, are there any lifestyle changes or treatments that a person can, take care of or look into, to understand or to make this menopause better?
Yeah. We'll come to the treatment part of it later, because the treatment part of it has a certain significant, points to discuss. But in terms of lifestyle changes, majority of the things can be done with lifestyle changes. For example, when you're feeling low, depressed, angry, irritable, all these symptoms, your brain is kind of working with lower chemicals in the brain, which are bringing your mood down. Now, there are a lot of ways that you can increase these chemicals in your brain without actually resorting to medication or an antidepressant, which by doing certain activities, you can bring this thing up. And that is the better way of actually dealing with menopause, rather than going on any medication especially for the psychological, mental symptoms that we're talking about. One of the things that I feel is that you have to identify things which give you pleasure. Whether it is reading a book or watching a TV or going for a cinema or singing or dancing, or there are a lot of activities we all enjoy. Anytime you ask me to, I will say, okay, fine, I would love to do this. So identify 1 or 2 activities which you really love. Majority of the time what happens is these women have forgotten those activities in the process of looking after the family and career and everything else. They've kind of forgotten that they wanted to dance, they wanted to sing, whatever. So identify such an activity which used to give you a lot of pleasure and you really love that. And that's one thing that you need to incorporate into your routine life, so that when you do that activity, there are certain chemicals which are released and which make you happy. Now, this will not last for very long. So that's why I'm saying you have to do it on a daily basis. So it will give you a little hype in the neurotransmitters or chemicals that we call, which make you feel good. And then exercise is one way that you can actually up these endorphins in your brain, which make you feel good. having said that, when you're in a bad mood, when you are kind of, not feeling very good about things, exercising is very difficult. So you don't have to think of exercise as a kind of going to the gym, lifting weights, or running 10 miles or whatever. You can think of any light exercise. For example, walking is a very easy exercise to do. When I say walking, there are a lot of other questions which will come up. Or weather is not suitable, it's too hot, it's too cold, I don't have time, by the time I come home it's too late. So for those who have all these excuses, I say, stick to walking in the house, in the same spot. You can do that. Now, there are certain beautiful videos on the YouTube which do only walking, 2 mile walking, 1 mile walking. They have a music in the background, and then they're just walking with different kind of steps, which is almost like dancing or aerobics, but it's a very low intensity one. So I have done those, and what I do is I put the Bollywood music in the background and play that video on the YouTube, and I just walk with them. And you will be amazed, you can actually do 2 mile a day without even feeling like you're doing something.
Doctor, we've really discussed in detail about the symptoms. So just wanted to ask you a question. Apart from these symptoms, is there something else that people should really know, that women should really know about menopause symptoms?
Yeah. So these are the symptoms which are very obvious women are going through. So they usually come for those symptoms. But there's something else that's happening inside the body which women are not even aware of. Okay. So the symptoms of that will come at a later stage in life, maybe in 5 years, 10 years' time. But the body is actually undergoing a certain change because of the lack of estrogen. For example, according to research, women, compared to men, women are at a lesser risk of heart attacks, right? The reason being, we have the protective estrogen hormone in us. So the moment you reach menopause, your risk of having a heart attack becomes equivalent to a man. So you're losing that protection, okay?
Oh.
So when I say that, basically then you need to look into how do I improve my cardiovascular health? How do I improve my heart? So in terms of exercise and diet, everything. So you need to be much more careful once you reach menopause. Okay, weight, especially weight management. The second thing is, the moment you lose the estrogen, your bones start getting thinner. The density of the bone becomes less, the calcium deposition becomes less. This you will not realize, you've reached menopause today, and slowly every day you're losing a little bit of bone from your body, and you don't realize it. In 10 years' time after menopause, a slightest twist of an arm or a leg can actually cause a fracture.
Oh.
So that is where you see people like, 65, 70 years olds, they slipped in the bathroom or fracture ho gayi. The same person, 25-year-old, when they slip in the bathroom, they might get hurt. Majority of the time, fracture nahi hote. Chota sa slip ho gaya or fracture ho gaya. So that is because the bones have thinned down to such an extent that they can break very easily. So this is the second part. The third part is what is happening is the estrogen makes the brain much more alert and much more, the nerve connections are better. So you are able to multitask and you're able to remember. Your memory is good. So this is one of the complaints that the women do realize, but they don't think that it is because of the estrogen. They say, पहले बहुत सारा काम कर लेती थी, आजकल नहीं होता है. ऐसा लगता है कि याद नहीं रहता है मुझे. Or if I can't do 2 things at a time. I used to do so many things at a time. So this multitasking ability and the sharp thinking ability, all those reflexes, all that starts going down, and which in turn affects how you react in the community and how well you feel in terms of your health.
Yeah.
So these are some of the significant changes, the effect on the heart, on the brain, and on the bone. This is actually the medical part of menopause. The rest of it is symptoms. There is an answer. If the woman is kind of quite good at how she's going to manage the symptoms, she can get over it without any medication. Not every woman will need medication for the symptoms that she's going through, all the irritability and everything else. But for thinning of the bone, for how your heart is behaving, how your brain is behaving, that medication will help.
So, doctor, talking about the medication, as you mentioned earlier, that we can use the medications. So, what are the medications that would be used, if you could like to tell us?
So, general medication is you increase the calcium in your diet. So, you can take it either in the tablet form or in the diet form. And to keep the bones healthy, you can actually, and you need to check your vitamin D. If you're deficient, you need to take that. And to more than the medication, exercising and muscle building will keep your bones stronger. Doing activities which are stimulating new learning, anything that you're going to learn new will keep the brain stimulated. So the brain degeneration that's happening or slowing down that's happening will also decrease. And altering your diet to a more heart-friendly diet will keep your heart healthy. Coming to the exact medication, the deficiency is that of the estrogen from the ovaries. So you replace it with estrogen. So you give the body a little bit of estrogen so that it continues to function in a better way like it used to do before menopause. Now the question here is, this is called hormone replacement. Now the question here is, people will say, अरे मेरी मम्मी और मेरी दादी ने कभी hormone replacement लिया ही नहीं है, हमें क्यों लेना है?
From the old times, right?
Yeah, but they say, oh, they lived very well. They had no problems. That's true. मम्मी दादी ने, हमारी भी मम्मी ने लिया हुआ है, but दादी ने नहीं ली हुई थी, and she lived very well for a long time. Now, the reason for that is the lifespan of a woman in our grandmother's time was around 65. And the lifespan of current days, modern women is more of around 80. Okay?
Okay.
So, if you had menopause at the age of 50 or 55, it takes about 10 years for the lack of estrogen to affect your bone to leading to a fracture, affect your heart to leading to a heart attack, affecting your brain to an extent where you become like not really good at functioning. Now, these women would not live that long to see the ill effects of lack of estrogen.
Yeah.
But the modern day women, we will live to see the ill effects of not having the estrogen. So that is one of the things. Second is the olden day women had a bigger role to play, surprisingly bigger role to play, because they would do a lot of physical hard work. There were no washing machines, there were no they used to draw water from the well, and they used to lot of physical activities they would do that would keep their bones stronger because their muscles would be stronger, and at the same time they would be looking after their grandchildren and various other things. They were incorporated in the family. Especially being with a grandchild is new learning, because you're trying to teach the child at the same time you're trying to learn new things. So that would keep the brain very active, and nothing like a 2-year-old or a 5-year-old to keep you active physically and mentally. So they would not they would not get affected so much. But now we are all women who have our jobs and we're working still, we're very old. And at the same time, lesser of a joint family structure. So we have more of a work-related stimulation, which can sometimes be monotonous once you're in the same job. And majority of the women don't really exercise as they get older, which is unfortunate. So we start losing bone and muscle, and then we become much more weaker. That also affects the heart in the long run. So taking hormone replacement is a way of avoiding all this. However, I have to say with caution, hormone replacement has 2 main side effects. If you have a family history, or if you have already had a clot in the lung or in the leg or somewhere, thrombosis, then the chances of you having it more. So don't take it. Don't take hormone replacement. There are alternatives to that. If you take hormone replacement continuously for 5 years, there is a small increase in the breast cancer risk. If you take it for another 5 years, that's total 10 years, there's a slightly even more. However, the risk, I want to say this very clearly, the risk of you getting onto the road and driving and having an accident and dying out of an accident is much more than you dying of breast cancer if you took HRT.
Oh.
Okay. So it's a small risk, but you need to kind of have your mammograms and monitor that. So that's the reason why we give HRT only for 10 years, not more than that. And that's another reason is that if you reach menopause at 50, you take HRT till 60, by 75, 80, you would be having all these side effects. By then, you're probably on the way out.
That's great. So thank you very much, doctor, for this information. Doctor, what resources or support options are available for women?
So apart from medical thing, I feel family is the biggest support, which I want to impress upon every man who is watching this podcast, that if your wife who's been with you, who's enthusiastic and chirpy, suddenly starts turning into an irritable, sad, crying, nagging woman, don't think that she's gone mad. She's going through menopause. and be supportive, because the more supportive you are, it will help her to get better with it. The menopause will not last very long. All the symptoms, body will get used to and she'll come out of it. But she needs a helping hand.
This is great to, end of the podcast with such a wonderful message, basically. And I believe all the men out there who understand the issue with women having menopause should understand this last answer of Dr. Usha, that you really need to support your woman when she's going through menopause. So thank you very much, Dr. Usha, for this wonderful podcast, and thank you everyone for watching. And we will be coming back with another podcast very soon. Take care. Bye bye.